Hello, captains, and welcome back to American Flight Simulator. We are continuing our journey in the Northeast Megalopolis bush trip. We're currently on leg number 5. The bush trip goes from the Boston area down to Washington, D.C., and this particular leg is heading from Montauk down to Long Island, MacArthur. So, that's our plan for today. We're here in the DA62. That's the aircraft assigned for this particular bush trip journey. So let's get into the cockpit, stop yakking about our trip, and actually start getting into the air. Push all of our stuff forward so we can get up. Let's actually drop one level of flaps because that's our takeoff flaps. I want to make sure I have plenty of room to get plenty of lift to get off the ground because the trees over here are going to be a little bit concerning. May need to pull up kind of hard to get over them. So let's get up. Climb over these trees, and then we can level out a little bit. Up. Get the gear up. Get our pitch trim working, so I'm not having to pull so hard. All right, and then I finally got around to making sure that I do all of this autopilot stuff first. So I got my waypoints on track, and I got my altitude set, and I got the thing making sure it's tracking GPS stuff. Let's get our flaps up, so I forgot I put those down. Gears up, flaps are down. Let's actually just make sure we're checking all this stuff. Pitot heat on because it's cold here. I don't think we need any of this other stuff. So flaps are up. The gear is up. Everything's good. Just want to make sure that all of that's set. We have our altitude set to 1,500 feet because the recommended... Are we turning? What are we doing here? Okay, we're getting on the line there. Sorry, it was just a little bit confusing because it stopped turning and the map didn't look like it was actually going where I wanted it to go. But anyways, we're good. So, the format for these is as we're heading towards a waypoint, I will read the description for it so that you guys can know where we're heading and see what we're looking at. First waypoint is going to be Gardiner's Island. Lift into the air and head west to Gardiner's Island, one of the largest privately owned islands in the United States. It must be nice to be able to have the kind of money it takes to own a very large private island. Looks like that's going to be that, though. Yep, that looks fairly similar in shape to what we're seeing on the GPS there. So that's going to be Gardiner's Island as we approach it. I'll probably hop into external view so that you guys can get a really good view and a really good look at the island. I'm going to try to remember to do that more because I know the cockpit here really sucks. And as I've said in every flight that we've done for this so far, low-wing aircraft are not a really good option for sightseeing. So there's always that. Pull the power back just a little bit to keep us. I mean, we can go into the yellow range; it's fine. But I'd rather just play it safe. We're not in that big of a hurry. The estimated time for this flight is only about 21 minutes, so I'm not that worried about being as speedy as possible. And at least for the purposes of, I don't generally try to do cuts in my trucking videos and stuff, but for this, if we're crossing large bodies of water or something like that, I'll generally throw a cut in there just to save you guys the irritation of having to just fly over nothing. But we can look around a little bit as we're flying over the water here. Not really too much to look at though, because it's water. I said before that this kind of feature over here where there's a long strip of land surrounded on two sides by water does remind me of the Coronado Highway out in San Diego. I've lived in San Diego. I've lived in Southern California for pretty much my entire adult life, and in the San Diego area for a good portion of that. So I'm very familiar with the San Diego area. I really love San Diego, hate California. You can take from that what you will. I'm gonna stay away from political discussions on my channel, but just know that I love San Diego. I hate California, and yeah, that's it. So it looks like we're getting pretty close to our destination here. As they said, this is Gardiner's Island, privately owned. Lots of stuff here. Let's go ahead and switch to the external camera view, and we'll take a look as we go. I prefer not to have to do things this way, but the cockpit on this aircraft is just exceptionally terrible. So we'll take a look as we pass over. Nice quick little glance, and then we'll get back into real version mode here, so we don't have to So we don't have to fly this whole thing looking like we're in something that's not real. All right, we're heading over heading over to Sag Harbor. Turn onto a southwest heading, flying out over Gardiner's Bay, and pass over Hog Creek Point, then Sag Harbor Bay to reach the town of Sag Harbor. So looks like this next one is a little bit further away. It's only 10 miles. I mean, like I said, the flight's only going to be 20 minutes. 20 minutes is kind of my minimum video length, so we're just going to go ahead and do this whole thing in real time. But let's go ahead and pull this out a little bit so we can see how far it is, get an idea of the geography over here so that when we approach it, we'll be able to see it. Because unfortunately, you know, we're going to have to mostly see this stuff and through the cockpit window here first, and then once we fly over, I'll be able to switch to the external camera. So I kind of like to have an idea of what the area is going to look like from the map over here, so that we can kind of view it as we're approaching and, you know, see what's going on over there. So it looks like it's going to be this little area up here, because you can see how the contour of the land is doing like that, and that's very similar to what this is doing here. So I think it's just this up here. So, other than just the tour itself, I do spend quite a bit of time in most of my sim videos just kind of talking. As I said in a couple of previous videos, I'm pretty excited about my work day today, which is basically recording, because we started Emerald Coast over in my hunting video series, a Call of the Wild hunting series, and yeah, it's really, really cool. I can see why so many people really wanted to move off into that particular reserve after Vurhonga, because it's a really interesting place to be. I already bagged myself a gold kangaroo, which was really nice, and you know, just a couple of other things that I grabbed along the way. And then in my American Truck Simulator video, I bought a new truck. It is the International Lone Star, a very nice looking truck, and I painted it in international orange because, you know, it's an international truck. International orange is a very nice looking color. I read on the internet that that's actually what they painted the Golden Gate Bridge. So obviously it's a very attractive color because that's what they painted it. And I don't know. I think it looks good on the truck. And I think it's a good switch from the International 9900i that I was driving. I switched over because I wanted a little bit more information out of my dashboard than what the 9900 could provide with its very classic, you know, very steam gauge looking dashboard, which is, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted cruise control information and maybe the distance to empty information. And I wanted to have my GPS in the dash instead of kind of mounted on the dashboard over there. So be sure to head over and check out the American Truck Simulator video. Check out the hunting videos if you're into, you know, real video game facsimiles of real life activities. That actually kind of rhymed. I got to remember that one. Because my channel has kind of heavily shifted over into that space at this point. Let's go ahead and hop into the external camera so we can get a view of this area. Let's check this out one more time. We're flying over the town of Sag Harbor once we reach our destination right there, and I believe we're pretty close to that. So this is the area that we're flying around. Hopefully, my voice is somewhat louder than as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to take just a couple of seconds. I'm sorry for pausing the video this way and kind of breaking the situation. But I do think that I want to turn the volume down a little bit because I've noticed when I listen to my videos later, my voice is competing very heavily with the sound of the game. So hopefully that's made somewhat of a difference. I won't know until I actually go back and review the footage, but we'll just have to find out. I do know that keeping it behind the aircraft is going to make it much less loud. But this is Sag Harbor, I'm guessing. So let's get back into the cockpit. We can read about the next point of interest. Continue on a southwest course, staying inland of the shores of the Peconic Bays to reach the hamlet of Shinnecock Hills, something like that. We'll leave it, yeah, whatever. So let's check out our map to see how far that is. Looks like it's going to be after a kind of bumpy little side thing over here and off to the right. So yeah, it's going to be over in like this area right there. So we got another 8 miles or so before we're going to get to that. So, and I'm saying so a lot in this video. I apologize. none of these are scripted. There's no way to script any of this, so I just kind of babble as we go. Most of my videos are just me babbling at this point, because I've played through all of my regular content, my regular video games that I have, and all of the action-packed stuff that I have, and then there's other games that I could play, but I just kind of don't want to. So, yeah, we're into Sims now. Which isn't a problem for me. I enjoy playing simulators, but you kind of have to either be willing to cut and paste things a lot, or you got to talk through it. And because these flights and driving and the Elite Dangerous stuff that I do are very much just journey kind of videos, I feel like it's going to kind of take away from your experience if you're not here for the entire flight or drive or, the space hops and stuff like that, which leaves me with the only option of just kind of chatting as we go. I don't know. I feel like a lot of... let me get a sip of coffee here, and then I'll continue my thought. I feel like a lot more people nowadays, even though we have like really short attention spans, I think most people are just looking for somebody who makes them feel like you're talking to them. And if you can kind of have a one-sided conversation on these videos, I think that might be something that is a good market for people, a good market for content creators. I mean, the video games are great and everything, but everybody's out there doing Microsoft Flight Simulator. Everybody's out there doing Elite Dangerous. Everybody's out there doing all of these different videos. And you have to kind of, get yourself used to the idea of just chatting into the microphone. Because, I mean, if podcasts have taught us anything, it's that people just want to listen to conversation. We're social animals. And as much as I tend to be very, very much an introvert, I do want to feel like I'm having social interactions on occasion at least. So there's always that. Let's hop back. Oh, I keep forgetting I left my camera up there. So let's hop back in. Oops. Let's hop back into the external view as we fly over Shinnecock Hills. Ooh, big golf course over here. I was trying to learn how to play golf. I got pretty okay with my swing, but never good enough that I didn't slice it enough that it like kind of went off the course. And golf is another one of those things where it can be a pretty expensive sport, especially when you're trying to pay to go different places. But this is Shinnecock Hills, according to the GPS over here. Looks like we just turned off to our next waypoint, so let's hop back into the cockpit. Bring up our nav log, and we are continuing on course, flying over northern Shinnecock Bay, Tiana Bay, Pine Neck Preserve, Quantuck Creek, and the Aspetuck River to reach the village of West Hampton Beach. So we're flying over a bunch of nature-related things, it looks like, to get to West Hampton Beach, which is just after this little inlet over here. So I don't think it's that one. That's this right here, I think. So there should be another inlet. Is that it right there? I think this might be the inlet. I think. I'm having a hard time kind of figuring, because I think, yeah, there's a land strip that continues up this way. I wonder if this has to be man-made. There's no way there's this long strip up here that was just natural. There's no way. It has to be man-made. So I think this is the strip that comes up here. There's a big body of water there, which is probably this. So I'm guessing that this is our inlet, and the trees are just kind of making it hard to see. Because this is telling us that our flight path is going straight over it, but it kind of stops over here to our left based off of... okay, I can kind of see some water starting to show itself in the trees here. So the trees are definitely making it difficult to see. Got another, 5 miles before we get there? Yeah, it's nice that I really like that they break these up into, right around the length of videos that I want to make. It makes it so I don't have to really try to plan things out too much. I don't have to do a lot of editing, or I don't have to do a lot of pausing and cutting. And basically, the amount of time I'm in the aircraft is the amount of time that you guys are with me. It's kind of nice and convenient. But yeah. But like I was saying, I feel like a lot of people, myself included, while we don't really want to have to go out in the world and deal with people, we do still need that social interaction. And, programs like like podcasts or, you know, content creators who get on and just do a lot of talking about things that, you know, may not be the most important earth-shattering things in the world, but they're kind of normal everyday conversation that makes you feel like, hey, I'm having a conversation with this guy. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of that social interaction that I know that I need, but I don't want to have to go out in the world to get it. I think a lot of people, you know, kind of starting from my generation and later, I'm right there on the border of Gen X / millennial. I was born in the early 80s, so I'm not going to give you my exact information because there's too many people out there that'll use that information against you. But I was born in the early 80s, so I'm right there kind of on the tail end of Gen X, very beginning of millennial. I grew up when the internet was growing up, and you know, I inherited some of the introverted tendencies of that kind of a lifestyle. But then I joined the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps kind of forces you to get over that crap. So, you know, and then I was also a Marine musician, and you can't be too introverted in that kind of environment because, you know, people are going to come up and talk to you. I tried to avoid it as much as I could, but, you know, when you're standing there on stage waiting for everything to be done, and audience members come up and try to talk to you, there's not much you can do about that. Okay, I think we actually did just fly over what we were looking for, so let's go ahead and just look around really quick. We just passed over we're passing over West Hampton Beach. Next up, continue over, let me get back into the cockpit so that hopefully the external noise is not drowning me. Continue over Moriches Bay to visit Fire Island, a long, narrow barrier island that is a popular destination for those who live and work in New York City. New York City? Leave a comment down below if you know what that reference is. Giving my voice a little break. I've been talking relatively non-stop since I started recording this morning, so my voice still hasn't developed the calluses necessary to just talk all day and not have to worry about it. What do we got here? So we're gonna head up here. We're gonna head off to the right. And then what's the next step? Oh, okay, so I think this is the airport we're landing at. KISP. Yep, Long Island MacArthur. Okay, so based off of what the map is telling me here, we're going to head over this way, and then I need to kind of angle out to the right so I can get an approach onto the runway from there. So we'll do this one, and we've already read the information for this, right? So we're just kind of going over to this barrier island, and then we just need to go land at the Long Island MacArthur. So we don't even need to keep this, we don't need to check that anymore. We're going to make our right turn. Once we get around 5 miles, we'll kind of swing out. There's no ATC access. There's no air traffic control access in these bush flights. So you just do what you're going to do. So we'll fly out this way because I can't even access the comm menu from in this mode. So we'll get out to 5 miles. We'll kind of swing out to the right a little bit so that we can make a nice easy left turn and hopefully actually get a decent landing this time. I've been really sucking with my landings. I will never lie to you guys. I don't pretend to be better than I am. My landings have been pretty terrible since I came back into the flight sim. They'll get better eventually as I start remembering what the approaches are supposed to look like and I start getting airspeeds and stuff right. I mean, even my Cessna landings have been they've been pretty garbage. So hopefully as we continue going through all of this, I'll start figuring out the proper approaches for the various aircraft that will be flying. And I'll be able to get the proper glide angle for, you know, the approach to the landings and things like that. And I won't keep slamming things on the ground the way I have been. I don't know. I haven't seemed to have much of a problem in DCS when I was doing that. Landings for that. Well, it's also because I was flying the F-18 and you pretty much just slam that in the ground anyway. So I have to imagine that's probably part of my problem. I'm used to just kind of just slamming into the ground because that's just the way the F-18 lands. All right, we're on the last leg of our little part. We're on the last little waypoint of our little journey here. We're gonna hop into the airport there, wait till we're within 5 miles, and then begin our approach. Excuse me. So hopefully we'll actually be able to see the airport, you know, before it's too late. The last time the airport was kind of hidden by a bunch of really tall trees. and I didn't even realize it was the airport until we were basically right on top of it. And I'm too impatient to go reposition and do all that stuff, so I just kind of forced myself onto the ground. I would obviously never do that in real life, but, you know, after 4 other videos and, you know, a 20 to 30 minute flight, I'm like, this video is pretty much the end of my workday. So I'm ready to get on the ground, get the airplane done, and you know, be done for the day. Down to 10 miles. 10 miles. I'm kind of trying to avoid jumping into another conversational topic because I'll be halfway through it and then I really need to start focusing on the landing. So, you know, I'm trying to get to the 5 mile mark and then we'll start positioning ourselves where we need to be. I think that once we hit that 5 mile mark and then I just turn perpendicular to the runway, that should give me enough space to line up with it. I just need to remember to get slowed down, put my flaps down, put my gear down, get on the proper speed. I mean, the flaps indicators over here tell me that the landing gear speed is 120 basically. But that's not necessarily the landing speed of the aircraft, and unfortunately, the makers of the simulator just do not provide enough information. They don't provide any information for the aircraft. I guess you're expected to go look it up yourself, find a manual or something. Oh, we're flying over an outer marker? Is that what that is? That's a flashing O. I'm assuming that's an outer marker. I'm not sure why it's triggering for us, but... okay. Okay, I want to make... I think I can... How do you... I forget how you maintain your altitude while still being able to steer. Can I just turn the nav mode off? Okay. Hoping that's how that works. So can I start turning and it will... No. So can I turn the autopilot off, but then press altitude for it to hold my altitude? Now can I turn? Okay, that seems to work. So I just had to turn the autopilot off. So I want to get myself perpendicular to the runway. So I'm going to wait for that line. I'm going to wait for the line on the GPS. I know this isn't like the professional super right way to do it, but, you know, at the same time, I'm not going to do a bunch of flight planning for an airport that I don't... An airport like this. I'm not really trying to be super realistic with this series. We're just doing an easy bush trip because it's fun. So that's the airport on the map. And then, of course, this particular airplane, the stanchion is right in front of you when you're trying to look off to the left side, so that's not helpful either. It's kind of irritating. I really don't like this plane very much at all. Let's zoom in a little bit more so we can actually see. Yeah, I think we're probably too close. Okay, that's the airport there. That's the runway there. Let's start slowing down. Oh. Okay, so that's our runway there. I'm not really kind of able to look at it very well because I need to get slid over this way. Flaps down to start slowing us down. So 120 was actually our landing flaps. I could have put the flaps down and kind of slowed us down earlier. Let's get the gear down. All right, so the issue that I've been having with flying this thing is that the way the engines respond is just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel good to me. I don't know why. But we'll try to make this work. And we have a pretty decent approach at this point. Add a little bit of power because we're a little low. I'm going to try to make this a decent landing this time instead of just slamming into the ground like we normally do. A little bit of power because we're still low. I got to find the appropriate throttle range to get the landing here. So it looks like I'm kind of okay. A little bit of power, a little low. A little bit of power. All right, too much, a little bit. Like it's very, very sensitive. It's very, very sensitive. Like a little bit too. Like right now we're flying. I need to. Yeah, I'm having a really hard time finding that sweet spot for the. All right, just idle it down and then we can land. How about that? Nice, smooth landing. That's what we're looking for. We'll get off this little cross runway here, or whatever this is, and then we'll stop, and that'll be it. All right, well, hopefully you guys had lots of fun. Be sure to click that like button so the YouTube algorithm knows that you did and sends the video out to more viewers. We want to get as many people along for these flights as we can, and that can only happen with viewer participation. If you are not subscribed, please consider doing so now so that when the next video comes out, it will show up in your video feed and you'll be able to watch it as soon as it becomes available. Speaking of that, channel members do get early access to my videos as soon as they are uploaded, so be sure to click that join button just below your viewer to bring up that list of perks that you'll get should you decide to join the channel and become a supporting member. Again, thank you very much for your time. I hope you guys had lots of fun, and be sure to come back for the next one.